a space to explore some ideas in depth where you set the research questions. The analyses can be either a professional practice analysis or a study tour analysis. They follow the same pattern but have a different starting point. You may decide that rather than writing 6,000 to 8,000 words, you'd rather give a 20-minute formally assessed presentation and a written piece of work of 3,000 to 5,000 words, and in both cases, whether you're doing the study tour or a work placement, the research question you will be answering will be, how has my work placement enabled me to become a better practitioner? Or, how has my study tour enabled me to become a better practitioner? All three different routes demand exactly the same amount of energy and commitment. There isn't an easy route, if you like. And we can discuss which would be the best one for you to do. So those three are there. If you are doing the dissertation, you will submit a full first draft. The full first draft, note it's not a rough draft. We ask you to make this as complete as you can. And what will happen is we will go through that draft, line by line, commenting on it, indicating how you might improve it. And we will also give you detailed feedback against the three criteria that this will be assessed by. So, research, analysis, communication. 30% of the marks for research, 50% of the marks for analysis. What this means is that a plain description of something or a history of without an analysis won't do. So half the marks are for analysis, 30% of the marks are for communication. Quality of language, quality of imagery, or in the case of a presentation, how effectively you communicate. So you'll be doing, if you're doing the alternatives, you'll be doing the 20-minute presentations then, and then we do the final tutorials there with a final input from your subject specialist tutor and the final hand-in of the 4th of October this year. So far, clearish.
For those of us who are doing part-time,
yes.
we'll do that next year rather than this year.
Which year are you in?
I'm in year 1.
Yes, you'll be doing this next year, but following this pattern. Yeah?
Is it possible to make a start in year 1 if you want to?
Informally, absolutely. But what I would discourage you from doing is thinking, I know, I'll get this out of the way in year 1, and then year 2, I'll have cleared the decks. If you have no professional input, the chances are that you'll do something that's very well intentioned and certainly not foolish, but you'll put a lot of energy into something that probably won't meet the terms of the brief. So, of course, think about it now. Maybe map some ideas out. If you want to exchange the odd email about it, I'm sure I'm happy to do that. But I would defer doing the major work, and it's a serious undertaking, until next year. All right. Yes?
Just wondering a little bit about the study tour. Whether you've been
Yes. The study tour is either something formal that's organised by your course, or, and I'm looking at Lynn Jones now, we've had students who've organised their own study tour. So it could be a one-day event where you decided, I'll think in furniture terms for the moment. We had somebody who was looking at the rituals of dining, and she decided she wanted to take the whole of her course to Soho, to Chinatown, and to examine them eating, seeing how they were doing it. And that formed a body of very useful data that then fed into her presentation, her written piece answering that question, and her major study. So it could be something that you made up. It's probably a good idea for us to talk about it in the first tutorial. Yeah? When you get this brief, read it. Just read it from cover to cover. It'll take about 20 minutes, but it'll answer an awful lot of, and I'm not, ask questions now. That's absolutely fine. Yes, Lynn?
Just reflecting on that, is it true to say that it's by negotiation?
Absolutely.
So
yes.
If you have an idea now that, or you know that you're doing a study tour, or you've got something on the horizon,
yes.
to air it now.
Yes.
Say, well, I've got this idea of doing that way. Because in my experience with my students, it's that they decide too late, or they've done the study tour and then they think, oh, I could have done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to try and kind of preempt it.
I won't skirt around this. In terms of those alternatives, there are issues about the precise timing of things happening. We're mapping out a sort of model program. With the alternatives, sometimes we have to move those deadlines around because People's study tours are happening at different times. Their work placements may be happening at different times. If you're pursuing the dissertation, then the pattern of study should be exactly as it's laid out there. Okay? Knitted brows, can I help? You understand?
Yep.
Fine? Good. Okay. I'm conscious we've started late. What is the time now? 10 to 2. If I may, I'll spend the remaining 10 minutes looking at this dissertation proposal form that we ask you to fill in. I have emailed that to, I haven't emailed it, forgive me, I haven't emailed it to any first year students. You won't be on my list. But email me if you want a copy of it just to see what it looks like and start playing with it. But the rest of you will have received this form, or will be receiving this form shortly. I'll just open it so that we can have a look at it. And do keep throwing questions if you have any. Okay, this form, you just indicate what course you're on, and then what you need to do is, because we're having a range of different inputs, we are asking you to be the keeper, the authoritative keeper of your form. So what you do is you put it on one of those expensive memory sticks we were talking about earlier, and don't lose the stick. Keep it with you. It's like a bag. It's a bit like a bag. As you come across sources you think might be useful, and sources can not just be sort of, you know, books, magazines, websites certainly, but people as well. Make a note of them on this file. I'll just run down, here we go. Okay, so what we ask you to do is decide which of the three you think you want to do, and then if it's one of the work placement analysis or the study tour analysis, your research question is given. How has my insert been useful in my development as a practitioner? If you're doing the dissertation, you set your own question. We ask you to indicate what that is, and we'll be ready to give you feedback on that after you've submitted it. Subsidiary questions, what questions do you have to ask in order to answer that main question? Is everybody familiar with this way of thinking? If it sounds weird, say. You can come back to it. You're looking worried, you okay?
No.
No?
Yeah,
Fine?
right.
Good. All right. We then ask you to do a trial bibliography. So any written text, books, magazines that you think are going to be useful to you, indicate what they might be there. Make sure that right from the first you put them in the correct form. If you're used to using Harvard, use Harvard. If you're used to using Oxford, use Oxford. If you've used neither, use Oxford. The guide is on Blackboard and you can access it there. If you go into the Oxford guide, it has a link to Harvard guidance as well. So whichever you're happy with. All we ask is that you use one or the other properly, not some ghastly
Just
mash of the two. Yes.
The actual changing of the email address.
Yeah.
We all did that during a library thing and it's not working. We're
Then
not
we need to
receiving
attend to it.
emails
We
at
need
all.
to attend to it.
Yeah.
Can we raise that after this?
Yeah,
Because
I just like
I'm aware that
that,
people have to
yeah.
do presentations at
Yeah.
2. But we will attend to that if anybody has any issues with the Bucks email thing. After the bibliography, we ask you to list some websites, pretty obviously. Give the name of the website, the URL, and the date you accessed it. Any other non-print sources, a very unglamorous term that's quite often for people. The professionals, you're just about to go into the world of practice. Who would you perhaps like to go and talk to, and that you reasonably might in the course of doing this project? Have a think about that, and obviously discuss it with your studio tutors, because they will not only probably have suggestions about who you might speak to, they may have some guidance about what would be a right and professional way of approaching them. You don't want to mess with people who may be giving you a job further down the line. So make your approaches absolutely clear, make them professional, and make them in such a way that anybody who is in the world of practice can respond easily. Don't send some wide, vague question to them. They won't like you and they won't respond.